Former President Trump will be back in a New York City courtroom on Monday, as you just heard from Bryan, as opening statements are set to begin in his hush money trial. For more, let's bring in a Washington Times legal reporter, Alex Swoyer. Alex, welcome.
Thank you.
So we got a preview of the defense strategy from the Trump team. Let's play that.
We're focusing on the facts because the facts show that President Trump did absolutely nothing wrong. This is a business records case. Those business records accurately reflected payments to one of President Trump's lawyers as legal retainer fees.
What do you anticipate, Alex?
Well, I think that Trump's team should renew their motion for a change of venue. That's a possibility ahead of opening arguments. Just get that on the record. They could point to some jurors that were actually sworn in and then had to be excused, saying it was difficult to find an impartial jury. Another interesting part of this is that in a complex felony case, it can take like 2 weeks to find a jury. Mm-hmm. This judge ensured that it happened in 4 to 5 days.
What do you anticipate, and what about the uncertainty in terms of witnesses that'll be called to the stand? It seems like there may be some surprises.
Yes, there could be. I've seen reports that Michael Avenatti is talking to Trump's defense team, potentially wants to come in as a witness. Maybe he's also looking for a pardon in the future should Trump win the election. Trump himself has talked about testifying, which might actually be a good thing. He could talk about how he's paid Michael Cohen, who was his personal attorney for years, say this wasn't anything abnormal. He was following his own lawyer's advice as well as that of his accountants. I don't know how necessarily this jury particularly will react to seeing the Trump on the stand, but it's a strategy they might have to use.
What is your analysis of the jury, including several lawyers? I'm
glad you asked. Some of the description, it looks like we could have some young jurors. It said some got their news from TikTok. Usually that's, Gen Z, young millennials. Those aren't necessarily part of Trump's base. Some lawyers on the jury, that could go back and forth. Usually when you're picking a jury, you think a lawyer would be able to look at things procedurally, look at different elements of a crime, know the standard that the prosecution really has to reach in a criminal conviction, and that's a high standard beyond a reasonable doubt. And that could usually play well for a defendant. I can say, though, as a legal affairs attorney, it's pretty easy to talk to various attorneys that lean one way or the other, and they can make an argument however they would like, especially if they're impassioned about a case.
All right, there's also the presidential immunity case. Here's one of our legal eagles, Professor Jonathan Turley, on that one, and I'll get you to react.
It's doubtful, and I agree with Tom, that they're going to go all the way that the president went in terms of the absolute claims of immunity.
What do you make of the immunity case?
Yes, I think what he was getting at, and from my experience covering the court since 2017, Chief Justice Roberts could split the baby here, where they say certain acts might be shielded and have immunity, but others aren't. And so if they don't clearly define what an official act is, we could see this come back to the court on various charges. Does this constitute something that Trump could have immunity for? So any, though, delay would be a win for Trump. Even if it's not a flat-out win, absolute immunity, anything that pushes this past the election would be considered a win. And on average, in D.C. specifically, it takes about 26 months usually for indictment to the end of a jury trial. And we're seeing this within a year, Jack Smith wanting to go to trial on this.
Alex Swoyer, thank you for your time and your analysis today. Great to see you.
Thank you.